Hey guys, thanks for checking out my video. This is going to be a comparison video between Splitting Steel Champion and Splitting Steel Trickster. I made both of the builds because I wanted to see how they both played and what the differences were, so I'm going to explain them real quick. I'm going to go over the Champion first. This gear in my inventory here is the only gear that is used by both builds. So everything else is completely like all this stuff is only used on the champion, and the trickster has all of its own set of gear except for this stuff here, the Nemes and the Adorn, or not the Adorn, the Ancestral Vision. I have a corrupted blood immunity one, which is insanely strong. Let me put this on real quick. I'm going to run a Minotaur map on both builds so you guys can kind of see how they both perform in action. This is Sniper's Mark on hit, and the Splitting Steel Gem. All the supports are different for both different characters. And then Enlighten and Grace is used on both. Before I run the map, I'll just talk about the champion real quick and kind of how it works. And then I'll run these Minotaurs on each character. So this champion version uses Paradoxica and Bell Timbers. You use Bell Timber to get 2 extra projectiles. Every time you leap slam, you will get +2 proj on your Splitting Steel, which is huge damage because all the projectiles return. You use Paradoxica for double damage, but you don't have to use Paradoxica. You can also use Dream Feather is really good, and so is the Savior is also really solid if you can't afford a Paradoxica, because Paradoxicas are very expensive right now. And then the champion just uses Replica Dragon Fangs to scale up your damage and fit all the auras on. And you also use Perseverance to stack your damage mainly. This is the main scaling factor for the damage, is you stack a whole bunch of aura effect so that you get huge armor and evasion. So this character has like 75,000 armor and evasion, which is translates to a lot of damage from Perseverance. And then you have cap suppression on this build also, and I almost have capped Chaos Resist. With Progenesis up, it is capped. And then you also use Progenesis for an extra layer of defense. And then this is a pure fizz crit build, and you crit cap with Bottled Faith and some other crit scaling on the tree. And then you use Ralakesh's boots to get your charges up all the time. And then I have a Intimidate, or not Intimidate, but the First to Strike, Last to Fall, Forbidden Flame, Forbidden Flesh, which gives me the Intimidate node right here, which also gives you Adrenaline. So this is what the Corrupting Fever is for. You press the Corrupting Fever every 20 seconds, and it procs the Adrenaline. I'm missing something here, though. Oh, Precision. I forgot to grab my Precision gem from my other character. I better go do that real quick. So just for fairness, use Precision on both builds also to accuracy cap and to help with crit. So let me go on the other character and grab that Precision gem really quick so that I can put that over and go back. I like these builds a lot. They are very fun to play. They're very tanky. The damage is excellent. I did Ubers on both of these builds. They both have excellent clear speed. They're both very tanky. It's just great. They're great builds. I highly recommend you guys try them out if you are interested in them. Okay, there. Now I have my Precision on, which is on a life tap or Arrogance setup. So my life is lowered down a little bit. So that means every time I get a Corrupting Fever, it'll put me down just enough to proc that Adrenaline. So I do that every 20 seconds. And then what else is on the build? Molten Shell, Sniper's Mark, auras, and yeah, that's pretty much it. So let me bust the map open here, and I'll show you what it looks like. I'll just put Essence on this with Eater and call it a day. I also have Gloom Shrines on this map, but I don't think that's going to really do much for this guy because this is a pure fizz build. So here we go. Every 20 seconds, you just hit life tap, proc that Adrenaline, keep it up all the time, and then just leap around, and Splitting Steel just obliterates everything. The clear speed is excellent. I'm not going to pick up any loot here, but I will kill the essences here. You can see they get shredded instantly. Yep, damage is excellent. And I'll kind of just leap to the boss here and kill him. You can see what the boss damage looks like. Build is very tanky. Not quite as tanky as the Trickster, though. In all honesty, the Trickster version is much tankier actually. Although this build is very tanky. It's incredibly tanky. So yep, Gloomshrine's kind of carrying. I'm going to click that off just so you don't you get a fair representation of what the build looks like here. Okay, I'm going to skip that, and then another essence here, dies. And here we're at the boss. I'll proc my adrenaline one more time. And there, the boss is dead instantly. Look at that. Amazing damage. Yep, build is very good. And that's it for the champion pretty much. It's uber boss viable, extremely tanky. I paid probably, I'd say, around 300 divines or so is what I spent on this character, including everything. I'll go over the tree just real briefly. Use Brutal Restraint for aura effect and attack speed mainly. Use 2 large cluster jewels with Master of Fundamentals is really important to resist cap because resists are actually like pretty tight on this build. And then Battle Hardened for more armor evasion scaling and damage. And then you get ailment immunity from this right here, and then from a chest prefix. You do a veiled mod on the chest to get ailment immunity there. And then, so that plus the adorned is, or not adorned, ancestral vision. That's where all your ailment immunity comes from. And then you get pierce from right here. It's important to have pierce on this build. It makes the clear speed feel really good. And the other is that which was taken, which has far shot, and then armor applies to LE damage. That's really strong when you have this much armor. That's another layer of defense. And then a +2 impale Watcher's Eye with grace movement speed is pretty strong. Really, the impale is the important thing. And then I'll show the charms real quick. Charms is impales, last one more hit, very strong. Suppression, mark effect, and culling strike with strength and int. Strength and int is very tight on this build too. You need one of these probably. And yeah, that's about it for this version. The champion version is extremely strong. So now I'm gonna put everything back over to the Trickster, and I'll show you the Trickster version. I need this, and I need the Ancestral Vision, and I need the Enlighten and the Grace. And was that it? Oh, and Sniper's mark on hit. And I'm pretty sure that's everything. Chuck all this in here. And now I'll log over and I'll show you the Trickster version. The Trickster is a CI version which uses energy shield scaling to scale the damage with ephemeral edge. So the champion uses armor and evasion stacking with perseverance. This version uses ephemeral edge, and you stack energy shield to scale your damage primarily. And this is a Mageblood build too, and the Mageblood does a lot of work on this build, and I'll talk about it a little more in a second after I put all this stuff on here. Enlighten, precision, grace goes there, precision there, leap slam there, mark on hit, sniper's mark there, main gem there, Nemi's on, and ancestral. Okay, I don't want to make sure I don't accidentally delete that because that's this is a expensive jewel. Okay, so this is a ES stacking build here, and all the gear is basically just ES, like as high ES as you can get, with some accuracy here. Chest has suppression with Fizz taken as, and then also stacking lightning res with melding. So you use melding on this build to get 86. You can get higher than this, but I only have 86 because I have a +2 shield. You can get a +3 shield. You can also get maybe +1 from somewhere else. I don't remember where else. And then you use this amulet for lightning damage is lucky with non-crits. So this is a non-crit build, and you use elemental overload to scale your damage up. So you do have a little bit of crit to proc this, and then you get basically like an extra support gem from this. And then with this, lucky damage is insanely strong, especially with volatility support. You use this to make your damage range like bigger, but because you have lucky damage, you hit on the higher end of that range more often, which is insanely strong. And then you also use this to stack curses, and you run LE weakness and conductivity and sniper's mark, which are 3 insanely high damage curses. And you could run a 4th curse if you want. I'm just using wave of conviction in here to proc my exposure. And then Purity of Lightning this is how you scale up your all res with melding with Purity of Lightning. Purity of Lightning gives you 7% all res with the aura effect that you have. And then Discipline for ES and Grace for evasion. This build has let me turn on my auras here. With all my auras on, I have 90% chance to evade. So we evade all the time. Plus we have huge all res, lots of fizz taken as. We have fizz taken as chaos on the helmet, which is just fizz, basically immunity because we're CI. And then the Mageblood, I'll talk about what this does. This gives me all my resistances basically from the 3 LE flasks plus resistance suffix here. And then a big attack speed from this one. And then mana cost of skills, that is to get an extra aura. So that's Divine Blessing Haste here. You run haste on a Divine Blessing with Inspiration, and because of this reduced mana cost, you're able to, even with only 91 mana, I'm still able to use this Divine Blessing because it costs only 21 mana. And the other thing that's enabling that is this jewel right here, which has reduced mana cost of skills. And this is enabled by the Adorned. So this is expensive Adorned here, 135% Adorned, and you stack 4 jewels like this. ES attack speed, ES attack speed, ES attack speed, and then I have 1 with reduced mana cost, and that's to enable the haste to be used. And then the other thing the Mageblood is doing is giving you some ES regen also from life regen, and that turns into ES regen with Zealot's Oath. So that just makes the ES regen just feel so good. Plus the overleech from Trickster, your ES recovery on this setup is just insane. So that's what the Mageblood is doing. And then what else? Precision, totem's kind of optional. Oh, and you have Arctic Armor for extra survivability too. So the amount of damage you take on this build is insane. You also get ailment immunity from the boots, avoid ailments there, and then plus the ancestral. I always forget what this jewel is called. The ancestral vision gives you the other half of your ailment immunity, and then you get the other half of it from the boots. And then what else on the gear? The rest of the gear is pretty straightforward. You hit cap with the helmet plus precision. And rest of the jewels in the tree, you use 3 large clusters is what I'm using, but you don't have to use 3. This is just life and mana leech, or actually I probably should drop this, huh? This is if you probably want to take this if you have Ghost Reaver, but I'm actually not using Ghost Reaver right now because I got this ES recharge rate on my chest, so I decided not to use Ghost Reaver because if you use Ghost Reaver, then you don't get ES recharge. So yeah, I should probably get a new cluster jewel actually that doesn't have this node on it, because without Ghost Reaver, this attack, the life leech part doesn't do much, but the leeching mods are really strong though, so I'll probably just keep it. And then Ancestral Vision, Watcher's Eye on this build is Fizz taken as with Period of Lightning, and then Grace Evade. This is an extremely strong Watcher's Eye. And then this jewel is that which was taken with Far Shot, and then Frenzy on hit and Suppression. This is how I'm suppress capping right now and getting my Frenzy charges. These jewels are the Adorned ones, which I already showed you. And then, is that it for the jewels? Oh yeah, and then Melding. Melding is right here. And I think that's it for the jewels. And that's pretty much the whole tree. So now I'll do the Minotaur on this build, and you guys can see what that looks like. Let me take this stuff out. Put the Minotaur in. Chuck an Essence on there. And here we go. So this build, it feels pretty much exactly the same as the Champion, actually. As far as like speed and damage, they're both. I'll skip the Delirium just to keep the comparison the same. But oh wait, I don't have my. Whoops, I put my buttons on the wrong buttons. Okay, there we go. So this is a pure lightning damage, non-crit build, but the clear speed is pretty much just as good as the Champion. This build is much tankier though. This build is like immortal tanky. You can face tank Shaper beams, Shaper balls, Exarch balls. You can AFK in the middle of Uber Eater. You can face tank almost the entire game on this build. I tanked the Maven memory game too, the Uber Maven memory game on this build. So the Trickster version is much more expensive though. I spent on this build about probably 700 divines. I spent on this build because I crafted all my own gear too, which it'd be even more expensive if you didn't craft your own gear. So about the same damage, much tankier, but much more expensive. And then there's the boss, gets deleted instantly also. So these builds are crazy, guys. A lot of fun. And that's about it for this video, I think. I just wanted to show you guys both of the builds and what the differences are, and kind of a budget breakdown and how they work a little bit. So yeah, that's it. Play these builds, guys. They are awesome, but I hope you have a lot of money because they're both expensive. Champion's a little cheaper, probably a little bit more damage, but way less tanky. Oh yeah, the servers just went down. Good timing. Good thing I finished. And Trickster is probably twice as expensive, but way, way, way more tanky and just as good at damage. So yeah, that's it for this one. Thanks a lot for watching, guys, and see you next time.